Hello, and welcome to the Solving Your Recruitment Complexities with Next Generation conference call. My name is Raina, and I will be your operator for today's call. At any time during this presentation, you can type a question into the Q&A pod on the right side of your screen. A PDF of the slide presentation is available for download on the right side of your screen in the Resource List pod. If the slides do not appear to be advancing, or you do not hear audio, please refresh your screen as it may be an issue with your connectivity. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. This conference is being recorded. I will now turn the call over to Mike Zychek. Mike, you may begin.
Hello, and welcome everyone to the iCIMS First Advantage webinar on the power of iCIMS Prime. My name is Mike Zychek. I'm the Senior Vice President of Product Development. I've been with First Advantage now for 22 years. I have a very detailed, strong background in integrations, and have helped build the 50-plus integrations we have at First Advantage and integrated well over a couple thousands of customers on our integration platforms. I also have with me Anders Bardugi and John Ritter. You guys like to introduce yourselves? Anders?
Oh, hi there. Hey, thanks, Michael. Thanks for having us. Glad to be here. I'm the portfolio director for iCIMS, kind of leading the development roadmap and strategy for our integrations platform, and very excited to be here with everybody to talk about Prime.
And good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Ritter. I'm a sales engineer here at iCIMS. My primary responsibility is product demonstrations to both prospects as well as customers. My role for today's meeting is going to take you through a quick demonstration of how the Prime integration works with First Advantage.
Thank you, guys. For our agenda, we're going to cover iCIMS First Advantage, the value of iCIMS Prime. We're going to do a short demo and then have next steps. A little bit about our partnership with the iCIMS Prime. So we've been a partner with iCIMS for 2012. Since 2012, we've done over 96 integrations. We are premier partner status in 2017 and 2018, and this is iCIMS Prime beta partner. For those of you currently on the iCIMS integration, I can tell you for one, I'm very impressed with the time it takes to integrate. They've managed to take the integration process down from a configuration time that used to take 4 to 6 weeks to now a few days. Completely opened up their APIs, which is really the configuration of how we set up and configure these integrations for customer parameters. So I think you'll be excited to see what they have to offer, and looking forward to this presentation. I'll turn it over to you, Anders.
Great. Thanks, Michael. I figured before we jump into Prime into detail, for those might need a little bit of background of iCIMS and who we are and where we're at. We've been around, I guess, for 18 years, working on building out a SaaS recruitment platform, completely focused on being best in breed in their talent acquisition. As a result of that, the past several years, and I've been on board with iCIMS for 3 of those 18 years, we've had some pretty tremendous success and growth, and which is enabling us to remain focused on delivering best-in-breed solutions to our customer base. And part of that mandate for me was really, okay, we have a best-in-breed experience in talent acquisition. We've got a highly configurable platform on single source code. We're currently at 4,000 customers. What if, I was challenged with a couple of questions of what if we get our customer base to 10,000 customers? What if we had thousands of partners? What do we need to deliver to our customers to maintain a #1 position and ensure that we can find the scale and growth and maintain our success of 25%, 30% year-over-year growth over the past 12 years on to the next 10 years. So that's kind of the challenge before me when we look at integrations. A little bit about the business without giving you a long history lesson and kind of where we're focused. And we're really going to spend our time on the problem we've been trying to solve in partnership with First Advantage and a few other partners within our ecosystem, and why we built, we're going to focus a little bit on why we built Prime and what it is, what problems and what experiences are we trying to deliver to our customers and our potential customers and our partners themselves. So really, let's just move on to the value of Prime. And when we look at Prime itself, it's sometimes a very uninspiring topic to talk about integrations. They're kind of like the anthem of what anybody who's focused on best-in-breed recruiting really wants to spend their time on. You know, facetiously or rhetorically, I'd say, like, who really wants to spend time trying to explain your hiring workflow, your best practices to an IT department? And the reality is that a lot of our customers and joint customers face is, well, not only do we have to integrate background screen providers, but we've got 24 or more other applications that are involved in facilitating your hiring practice, your hiring workflow, what you need to drive and bring in talent into your organization. And this problem is very pervasive. As we did a lot of research, we spent a lot of time with our own customer base, right down to our smallest customer, all the way up to the enterprises, looking for automation, integrated experiences, and things that are going to drive improved workflow is a consistent challenge. And as you look at those integrations, you know, you start asking yourself, well, what do I got to integrate? What fields need to flow where? At what point in my hiring process do I need to trigger a particular set of data to move down into another platform? And then you get into more real-world concerns of, well, if the integration's not great, what about my recruiters? Are they going to enjoy the experience? How many times do they have to click and do a repetitive action? And when they take that repetitive action, the next step in their workflow, are they doing it in the platform that they're working in every day, their ATS, or do they need to move out to another third party? So, you know, a lot of folks, when they look at an integration, it's scary, it's complicated. It's not something where you want to be spending your vast experience in recruiting and your time on doing to drive the value of the business. And really, the other really important piece is it actually is more about an experience than it is around just moving data between two platforms. Passing a bit of information, somebody's first name, last name, between one computer to another or one application to another is not the hard part. It's actually understanding the workflow, the experience, and making this efficient for the users of these services that drive your workflow. And what's really became apparent to us is through our experience for the past 3 years, we are now operating about 10,000 active integrations into our platform across all of our customers. If a customer has one integration, on average they have 4, so they've got to go through this cycle 4 times or more. In our most extreme case, I think we have 18 different applications integrated for a single customer. So with integrations and with that complexity comes a need for a kind of choice. Some folks and organizations demand an integration that is done their way. It's defined by their workflow. They have the IT resources, the project management, the user experience research teams to say an integration needs to work like this. And then we've got a whole other set on the other side of your virtual teeter-totter or the other side of the room that are looking for, man, I just want this thing to work. This experience needs to be optimized for the workflow I'm looking at. It needs to be able to handle and make sure that my data is handled securely. It can be reportable. And as long as it's meeting those requirements and my workflow is good, that's great for me. So we started off in the world of doing everything custom and validated and for a customer spec. And we knew that that couldn't scale, but we still offer that service offering. We started to define standards by category of what good experiences look like for integrated platforms and offered standard connectors. But really with Prime, we wanted to go into, well, what would the perfect world be if we just reinvented the wheel? Let's look at the data model, the security model. Let's look at the needs of our partners. Let's look at the user experiences from the recruiter and see if we can redesign that entire experience in concert with those partners instead of saying, hey, here's an API, tell us what you think. So this has been a 2-year journey for us. We're really excited to be talking to you about it today, that this Prime experience really is a next generation experience where your users, the recruiters, do not need to leave the platform to drive background screens between us and First Advantage. You can make sure that the workflows are optimized in that movement. It's all securely handled, and all of the data fields and information gets to where it needs to go. We will be expanding this, so this is our first category and the first version of the first category. So from a product perspective, what we're going to demo here today is really just the beginning of our investment. We're looking at analytics, ability to localize. Actually, we have this technology built into the product where we can localize, and what I mean by that is deliver the fields, the UI, and even the packages and result information in multiple languages if you are a global organization. That technology is being built in the base foundation, and we'll be looking to extend that into the future. And at the end of the day, our hope and our mission is to ensure that all of our partners are happy with the technology stack, they're motivated to build to Prime, that they're bringing the best offerings we can into the users of our ecosystem, of our platform, to give you the choice and the solutions that you need. And we can't say thank you enough for the close collaboration over the past year to First Advantage on helping us shape that data model, on making sure the UIs actually fit their needs, and all of the needs that they would, or all the technical needs they would need to drive their workflows, expose their packages and locations in the way they need to all of you, their customers, that we are able to handle those use cases. So I'm just going to keep going along here and just kind of bring in, a summary of what we feel the power of Prime is as far as the experience goes. But it's a fully unified user experience. Your recruiters, the users of this platform or of this integration would be able to interact primarily through the user interface of the iCIMS platform. That delivers a streamlined and consistent UI. We've done a lot of work on a technology layer to make sure all of the interfaces are based off of a single page app, which is more of a technical term of everything's kind of in frame. There's no iframes, there's no link outs and bouncing around. Michael was kind enough to touch on the activation experience. We shot for a target of 3 days or less to turn these integrations on. We are seeing in the very near term an ability to have these just turn on demand, and for folks to be able to kind of trial and to use these integrations to make sure they're delivering what they need. But today, we know as we're getting out the door, we can turn on an integration with First Advantage in no more than 3 days from the time of it's time to start that project. And making sure that the technology itself can scale to handle those 4,000 customers that need on average 4 integrations, but again, take that to 10,000, take those partners and multiple integrations up into the thousands themselves, and you can just see the scale needed to be able to coordinate a three-party interaction, you the customer, iCIMS the platform, and integrating with the platform and services of our partners. All right, we've worked through this in a lot of detail with First Advantage, and we've seen from Scott, and Scott was a first-party participant in working, talking with the analysts, our analyst community here at iCIMS, and they're already seeing and are excited by the technology we delivered to them. We've gone through the testing, we've gone through the validations of the integration, and we're really excited to bring this to market together. As far as differences, I've talked about those this is more of the technology and experience for those that are looking for those easy turn-on integrations, for those, let us do the thinking of what's best in breed in the category, how background screens should be processed, what the experience should be in the platform. And we started that journey with the standard integration, but we felt it was pretty good or valuable to call out, well, what's the difference? You've already thought about a category experience where you're exchanging data between us and the partners, but why would I even consider going to Prime? And maybe some of you have already deployed standard integrations or an integration with iCIMS, and you're asking, well, how is this different? The first piece to keep in mind is that the integrations can actually run in parallel. So if you're already activated or integrated with iCIMS, you can turn on this integration in parallel so that the migration and retraining and retooling would be very efficient. Your previous experience could have been a 4 to 6 week integration, as mentioned by Michael up front, and we know we can do this within 3 days or less. if you are going through a integration in almost any other space, in almost any, and I'm talking outside of talent acquisition, you could go into any platform integration, you're typically going to rely on resources, either be project management, IT resources, where they're looking at fields and information and mapping. You're going to need user group representation and testing teams. Even when we're delivering the standard, we needed to ensure that all those parties were bought in and trained up of what that particular integration would look like. With Prime, there's absolutely none of that. The integration is out of the box. The workflows and the experiences in the platform are the same in which your recruiters are used to using today on iCIMS. And we just completely alleviated the need to bring in any IT expertise to solve for that, because First Advantage and iCIMS have solved for that already, and it's a matter of us turning on and delivering. In both of these integrations, you are getting real-time information updates. So if you were to send a background screen request or needed to get an update on the status between the two platforms, that would happen through our APIs and the capability. But what you would notice that would be different within Prime is that user experience, the status per package, the notifications, the color coding, all of that is consistent and easy within the platform. Even administrators of your platform, those that are managing the end-to-end workflow of your hiring recruitment workflow, all of the UIs are very simple on configuring roles, packages, locations. They're very highly configurable, so you don't need to work through an iCIMS support team or a First Advantage support team to make that happen and be altered. The other piece, and I kind of touched on this, but this is a really important caveat for us here at iCIMS and with our partners, is that the technology stack, the way we have designed these integrations, are allowing us to actually innovate and bring new features out without you needing to reintegrate or purchase another integration. We will be adding reporting dashboards, performance dashboards. That data will be, we've got a roadmap item, but just to let you know where we're investing on, using our AI and machine learning technology to say, well, how well is this integration working? How well is this background screen process performing in relation to customers like you, or even against your last hire? And we'll be able to do that without needing to rebuild another integration or flow of data. And then the last kind of piece is that all of the categories that we're talking to, and this will be a really good segue to the next slide, anytime we're talking about Prime, we're building category-specific APIs and data models. So around background screens, around assessments, or any other area. And we're essentially setting a very robust data standards for what should be exchanged between a ATS platform and any ISV community that wants to integrate into us and build a workflow. And just a little forward-looking, and just give you an idea of where we are with Prime and where we're headed. We do kind of break out our ecosystem of integrations inside of iCIMS into about 18 categories. In those 18 categories, we have over 200 different products that are integrated. And we have another 700 or so integrations or available integrations that are kind of not listed in our marketplace, but they are available to be integrated into. And with Prime, we started off with background screen. So yes, there are standard integrations in background screen. Prime is now available in that particular category. And we will be working on, or we are in process of working on other categories. Assessments is in flight, expected to be available by early 19 and to our partner community by the end of 2018. We are looking at recruiter marketplace integrations, more around sourcing of candidates. How do I get agencies to provide more candidates into our pools? Again, in job posting around sourcing, about how do I make my jobs more, or build more awareness around my jobs and bring in more candidates. And really, that is where we're headed from a Prime experience. I went very fast to leave some room for questions and discussions at the end. More than happy to dive into any area around our partnership with First Advantage, what the demo or what the actual integration looks like, and current capabilities. But at this point, I'd love to pass it over to John and kind of switch it from words to action and show you, how this integration works and what the experience is actually like. So John, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Anders. Just give me a second, folks. I start sharing out my screen. So what I'm going to do for you today, and this is really only going to take a couple minutes, which is really a testament to how simple we wanted this to make for the recruiter experience. So what you're seeing right now is a candidate profile, and basically what I'm going to do today is go ahead and launch their background check. We're going to show you how we can pick a different package. To Anders' point, we can see the status of those different packages and even view some of those results. So the value around this, again, is really not ever having to leave the iCIMS talent platform. So in this case, again, I'm in a candidate profile. I can simply advance Thomas right here, and I'm going to launch my Prime background check. What this is going to do for me is it's going to go ahead and it's going to launch this little window for me, and then first thing I need to do is just pick my location. So let's say for the sake of argument, I need to launch this package, and this person is in the New Jersey office. Then I have to decide I can either pick this a la carte, so I can pick individual products if I want to, or I can kind of pick a package. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pick this standard corporate background package here. I can decide if I want to include education verification in the process if I want to. I go ahead and just leave this out at this point, or if I add that in, it's completely up to the individual user. And again, these are all obviously permissions-based. So once I go ahead and select and review, I do need to agree to terms and conditions. If I have any other notes I want to put on here, say only verify, something like their master's degree or whatever that happens to be, even though, again, I didn't check that particular box, but hopefully everybody gets that flexibility that if I need to add any additional notes in there. And then once I go ahead and submit this package, I'm basically done. So that quickly, that simply, I'm going to go ahead and launch that background check here for this particular candidate. I'm going to go ahead and close this window. Those of you familiar here with iCIMS are sure if you're familiar with the screening tab. So Anders mentioned this, right? So many of you may be familiar with our standard background screening tab, but now you have this Prime background screen tab. And this is where Anders made reference to this, right? I can have several of these different packages that have been sent, and it's all color-coded. So we can very simply see if certain components have been cleared or canceled for whatever reason, or something needs an additional review. This is all color-coded. As Anders mentioned, again, we're kind of in the first iteration of this, so this is all in English, but we are going to have the ability to start to localize this. And then if I decide I want to view into the results, this is where the value is going to come, where in the past I may have had to click a link and take me out to a separate site. I can actually go ahead and view these results. I can actually get these results actually right here directly from inside the platform. While it does launch another window, I'm not having to necessarily click a link and then log into my First Advantage platform. So again, it's that quick, that simple to be able to launch a candidate background check, pick my packages, and then be able to come here, go to my Prime background screen tab, and be able to see my results. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and give the controls back to Mike.
John, I was just going to add a bit more color, too, for a few of the things in the demo, if you don't mind. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, great. A couple of things that you would have saw, like how simple that workflow was, and where John was actually selecting a location, such as in a particular office, and then you could go a la carte or pick multiple packages. That is actually also automatable. That if you were to turn around and say this particular location always has that package, or this job always has the package, you can even remove that step from the process. There was a couple other items that were really a high value, just so you're aware of it as well, is as you're going through that process, you're always seeing, well, how is that user going to be contacted? Their email address is always front and center for you to confirm before you submit. When you're looking at things like texting or using text alerts or potential text recruit or different types of information that might come available in the future, maybe different offerings from First Advantage, as we start to look at engaging that candidate to go through the process, you would be notified and be able to confirm the preferred communication method of that particular candidate in the workflow as well. I thought those are some really nuanced things that were worth kind of calling out. If you, even the accepting terms and conditions flow that we brought in for demonstration, that is configurable as well. Is it required? You might have a global acceptance and you don't want your recruiters to have to go through that step. You might need particular individual terms to be accepted. Again, based on the design of the integration and partnership with First Advantage, those experiences would be configurable as with the tool set that we're actually offering out. I just thought it was really good color to add into that. You're seeing one experience, one opportunity that was 6 clicks, but there's still even room to optimize that, and we'll always be bringing in more information, more tooling, and make that available to our partners to then make available to you through our next generation integration for you to migrate to rather than have to reintegrate. So thanks a lot, John. That demonstration was fantastic, and I'll go quiet.
Awesome. Thanks, Anders, for adding, again, the additional color. And, Mike, I think you've got the controls back there. So, good.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. John, great stuff. Great stuff. If anyone on the call also has a question, we can answer that now interactively. Just go into your web control and ask your question, and we will take it from there. Do you have the first question coming in? Linda, iCIMS question. So is everything that you've shown in the demo now available now? Is it live?
Yes, actually, so that's absolutely the case. We've actually had 4 customers go live through this through a beta cycle, so we're not bringing out an experiment on anybody that's looking at using this technology. And we actually had our first non-beta live production deployment occur early this week. So we're talking to everybody here early in the cycle, but yes, it's in production, and we're ready to roll with the service and the experience.
Perfect. Great. Next question is from Mary. Does the candidate get an email from the employer at First Advantage about the background screen check? I can answer that one. So right now we have a best of breed called Profile Advantage. So once, as you shown when John was going through the demo, and you order the background check and it's configured up for our candidate experience, an email is automatically sent out to that candidate's email asking him, inviting him to come back in and complete the profile information, and that we're going to collect only the things that we need to collect from the candidate that are needed in the background screen. So if they didn't feel comfortable collecting, let's say, social or DOB in the first pass, we as First Advantage can collect that information. And let's say that we're running a driver's license and MVR check, we're going to go ahead and ask the candidate for their driver's license, and we'll validate it for all 50 states. Thank you. Question from Ron. How does the SSO work?
Oh, that's a great one. I know, Michael, if you want to talk to that one, or I can, but I'm pretty excited about the answer on that. I would say, first off, SSO works. You know, that's a real area where we wanted to take the complexity of security out of the integration process, out of the experience. So we do handle deep linking, the ability to have a user just logged into our TA suite, pass them in and drop them into the First Advantage link where they need to go. This is definitely an area we're going to continue to invest in, and as we build new experiences and ensure that we're always paying attention to that flow. If there is a need to go out of the platform, and again, overall with Prime, our thought process on this was to make sure the 80% of the things you need to do from a usability perspective are handled straightly within the platform without the need to log in twice or 3 times or whatever maddening amount of logins you might need to go through. Michael, I don't know if you want to add any color, but I can't be more kind of ecstatic of getting that hurdle kind of past us.
I think you hit on the key. And nowadays, right, hiring managers, the customers and stakeholders, they want one platform to see everything. Memorizing sets of usernames, passwords, and URLs is kind of the past. And this is a very solid integration. So you just click on the links. It behind the scenes will contact our APIs. It handles all the security, right, and the logins behind the scenes. And we, as mentioned earlier, we push back interactively, runtime live, all of the statuses. So as a background check is being completed, as we're getting those results, as we're searching courts live, right, throughout the country or throughout the world, we are pushing back the statuses from within and to the iCIMS integration. Thank you for that question. Next question for iCIMS. Could you tell us what the setup is like and what's needed?
Oh, geez. Yeah. So from a setup perspective, effectively, all we really need to go through to get this activated is you know, if you're not an iCIMS customer scenario, you need to have an iCIMS environment. So you basically need a platform identification. At the other end of it, we need to know the credentials and details that are associated to you from First Advantage. And then we simply, in our interface to our integrations team currently, are going to be hand-holding that interaction of putting the right information into the right spots. And then we basically, I know it's going to sound a little auto-magical, say kind of activate. And we have a service called the Configuration Manager that's actually going through all of the credential confirmations, the setup, and confirmation. That stuff is not involving people where we're, you know, setting code lines or entering IP addresses or doing whitelisting or endpoint definition. Because it's pre-built, pre-validated between us and First Advantage, it really is just a matter of telling the systems which platform to connect to which instance using what credentials. And we do have a vision, and we are doing this in other unique scenarios right now in beta, where activation is actually just driven by a UI. The UI entry from a username and password would just be, and platform ID would be done by the user. But we figured that since these are early activations from a customer and through our service, it's, you know, we're going into maybe our 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe till we're up to our 50th or 100th activation. We would rather have our integrations team involved in the UI and explaining the process to any customer coming through for the short near-term period.
Excellent. And what I can comment from First Advantage, from the configuration side, I can tell you this really been streamlined with iCIMS. And I can't think of another vendor that provides the openness from an integration side of screening, background screening. We can configure, you know, the fields, required fields, how our packages are set up, what users, the multiple accounts, position locations. There's just a variety that allows us to really streamline this process from the First Advantage side. And say a typical integration could take 4 to 6 weeks, and some that can even go into several months. And with this, we're anticipating, you know, with customer interaction, of course, could be anywhere less than like 3 days. This is really a game changer when it comes to this fast, quick integration setup configuration. Thank you, guys. Next question from Jason. How quickly do the background checks come back? We have several remote locations that are clear-cut counties, this is Wyoming. If you wouldn't mind, Jason, let me speak to that, but I'd love for you to reach out. The answer is it depends, right, for a background check. Our normal turnaround time is usually 3, 4, or 5 days, but it's really going to be dependent on the scope that you're running. I mean, combination-wise, we probably offer 200-plus type packages, services, and scope. I can tell you First Advantage is a leader when it comes to automation and robotics. We have processes that scrape almost every courthouse publicly available. If it's online, we have a bot that can scrape this information and automate it. So, and if they have XML gateways, REST APIs, right, we integrate with all the major courthouses, right, that are available, which really can allow us to get back these results in a few seconds. And where some courts, right, are not online or intend to being online, we do have a proprietary court runner system that is expedited. And with the volume you're doing as First Advantage, running like 50 million background checks a year, we can keep them fed, right? We can keep these runners in motion and constantly at the courthouse searching this data. And they do. We have a mobile internal application where they can give us back the results, and we feed it back to the end result of the customer. But please do reach out to us, because I can tell you we can get down to exactly the courthouse and the county, upper and lower courts, of our turnaround time. We do log and maintain a 90-day rolling average for every courthouse. So feel free to reach out to us, and we can provide you that data. Next question is, how does the candidate provide the background screening consent forms? From Ron. Ron, there's 2 different ways, and in the consent process, maybe John, do you want to speak about that, consent disclosure, what you have in iCIMS?
Yeah, I think it's the best way to answer this one, Michael, is basically it comes down to the experience that the customer and the partner want to deliver. So we can either drive the consent on our end, which we typically we used to do that more in the standard and non-standard, saying, hey, consent comes from the iCIMS platform and you go through and accept. But because organizations that are kind of technology forward and more effective and efficient, I guess, in that particular space, like First Advantage, I would say in your space, it's going to be driven by the experience that First Advantage is delivering 9 times in 10. So, you know, although my answer is that on our end we're flexible, I think the best answer here is probably going to come through what's the First Advantage experience.
Yeah, and from the First Advantage side, right, we spent a lot of time on this and researching it, and with our new Profile Advantage candidate experience, right, this is a very robust, customized experience for the candidate that we are getting rave reviews and results about. It's configurable. It's going to work on it's mobile enabled, so it's going to work on the iPhone, Android, the iPads, computer, and adapts to it. And what we find best when you're collecting this information, right, is it's kind of intrusive, right? Some of this data and personal data that you're giving out, so we kind of let them feel more comfortable. It becomes conversational. So what are you doing? Where did you work? So we kind of ask questions, more intuitive questions that they're providing and contributing this data, as well as the collection of the consent form. But we can configure it. We can configure it to be specific language from your legal, as well as the disclosure. Thank you for that question. The next question is, can we do background checks for drivers? Absolutely. First Advantage, we serve every vertical, small, large, medium. We specialize, of course, in large Fortune 1000 companies, but we have over 30,000 customers worldwide. So not only just the U.S., but globally, 235 countries. We can provide you best value, best service across every vertical. And overall, I think we probably still have hundreds of different components globally that we sell. So please do reach out to us. Account manager can get with you and provide the exact details of what you're looking for. Thank you for that question.
And Michael, it's Anders here. If you don't mind to jump in on that one too, I think it's really important to note, like, the integration there any package that First Advantage offers, any service that offers, you know, the integration, the way it's set up, the data model that we, you know, worked on, it can support that. And I think that's the kind of joy of it, is that it's really, you guys can, as users of First Advantage and users of the iCIMS platform, focus on the packages you need and the locations you need it, and the experiences are kind of handled. You know, if in the future there's 15 new services or packages or a new market or new geography is opened up with First Advantage, that can simply be added into the integration without needing to reintegrate. You know, there are some very strong and compelling questions or answers behind that question that is what makes this Prime integration so powerful between our two organizations. I thought that color might be of some value.
Excellent, great point. That looks like that is it for the questions. So I would like to thank our co-host and thank you all the attendees for joining, and please do reach out to us. Please take the survey after this webinar, and please do reach out to us if you have any further questions that we can answer from both sides. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you for having us, Michael.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, you will see a short survey appear on your screen. Please complete this at your earliest convenience. We appreciate your feedback. This concludes today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect. Speakers, please stand by for your post-conference.